we have arrived to the economic capital of Italy. This is Milan. And we're starting at the most famous site in the entire city. Of course, that is the Milan Cathedral, third largest in all of Europe. Join me today as we walk around the historic center. No particular agenda, no particular itinerary, just to enjoy the sights, walking around randomly. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm Ariel, and this is Urbanist. Hello everyone, let me know where you're watching from. And welcome to Milan. For some reason in English we dropped the O. And finally, we see a skyscraper. Well, they would call it a skyscraper, but finally we see a building that's tall here in Italy, as opposed to all the other places we visit. There's actual skyscrapers here, which we might see later on this journey. So I'm super excited to be over here. One of the reasons is I came here back in 2015. I was so blown away by Milan. Mostly because it felt very different from Rome, and I also went to Sicily back in 2015. So felt very different from those two other places. It's very interesting because Italy, for being a place that's maybe the size of New York State, maybe with a little bit of New Jersey in terms of length, has way more differences than you would see in many parts of the US. Right now in Milan, it always had a very kind of unique culture to it. And it shows in the history that we see right over here, which is in the honor of Vittorio Emanuele II, who is the guy who unified Italy. So let's enjoy walking around. There's no particular direction here. This is not a historical tour, even though I'll show you some cool history. So feel free to ask me any questions, and let's wander. Beautiful Milan and its historic center. But how do we know we are in the historic center? Oh, that's a good question. Well, since Milan really started growing in the early 300s AD, this was where it sprung up from. But why did they choose this area to build Milan from and make all the streets radiate outwards from the cathedral? Well, the cathedral came way later. So this predates Christian importance. It's due because one of the major governmental buildings for the Romans was right here in the very center of what is now the center of Milan. And we can kind of see it from the satellite images. We're right there towards the center, the most densest part of the entire city. And here's a more historic version of Milan during the medieval era. Hey Maureen, you love Milan. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Well, Milan is also known for its pigeons. Lots of people taking selfies with the pigeons passing through. Gabriela, I'm in your town. Oh, that's good to hear. Let's start with this guy over here, Vittorio Emanuele II. Hey, Sylvia, was that wall? Yes, it was. And one of the doorways is still surviving to this day. Here's a huge statue of Vittorio Emanuele II, the man who unified Italy. And now it's, of course, a big stand for birds. Lots of pigeons doing their business on poor Vittorio Emanuele II, the King of Italy. Here's a better look of him here at battle. Too many birds, yeah. I'm surprised because a lot of places in Europe have taken away all the birds. May I dare use the word exterminate in some cases, where they have flat out poisoned the birds and made sure that they would not pass on major squares. This has happened in London, this happened in many parts of New York like Union Square, this has happened in Venice in the Piazza San Marco, but here the birds still persist. Hey, good to see you. Hope all is well with you, says Cynthia. Oh, thank you so much, Cynthia. So Vittorio Emanuele II is very important because the reason we have this grand square, at least as important it is today, is because of him. Back in the 1800s, Italy was cut up into a bunch of different pieces. That has been most of the history of Italy ever since the fall of the Roman Empire. Vittorio Emanuele II was king of a region in Italy called Piedmont, or Piemonte, right next door, so the next region over, which is where Turin is located. Piedmont was a buffer state between the French Empire and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And that means they were caught up between all these power struggles between these two major empires. However, they've always wanted to unite Italy because they felt that Florence, Milan, the kingdom of two Sicilies, yes, there were two Sicilies, as Naples and Sicily, they all wanted to unite them together, of course Sardinia too. However, it led to a very bloody dispute. One of the disputes was so bloody that they ended up making up the Red Cross because there were so many deaths on the battlefield. Nonetheless, Vittorio Emanuele persisted and ended up unifying the entire peninsula of Italy. When he unified Italy, he decided to restructure a lot of things all around the country. Rome became the capital, and Milan became one of the economic powerhouse of the country. In this, he carved different areas, rezoned a lot of this middle area of Milan in order to make it more open, to get rid of that kind of old medieval style, because right where we're standing right now, the Piazza del Duomo, used to be very cluttered, very cramped. Open it up and make it into a grand showcase of how big and important this country was going to be. That included completing the Milan Cathedral, which took more than 6 centuries to complete. Let me show you how it looked like in the 1700s, about 50 years or so before Vittorio Emanuele II. This started construction in the 1300s, and it took that long, and it still was very shabby by the 1700s. By the 1960s, 1965, it was fully completed. But there was work here done all the way until the 90s. Hey, Filippo. Hey, Nomades, te extraño mucho. Hello, Linda. Stephanie says, I started streaming this on FB and moved to YT. It's out of sync. Yeah, it happens with the differences in platform. Hey, Kay. Hello, Franco. One day in Turin? Ooh, maybe. Hello, Filippo. Hello, Milo. Hello, Audi. Hello, Sunshine. We have so many people tuning in. Trisha. Hey, Ariel. My dad is tuning in. Hello, Sunshine. Hello, Trisha. Pest control is another way of putting it. Thank you, Kay. Yes, pest control. I don't see pigeons as pests, but I do know how they could be pests. Yeah, unfortunately. Hello, Just Me Goddess. Nice to see you here. Franco, welcome. Hello, D24. And everyone, nice to see you here. Hello, Mater. How was the break I had? It was very nice. I rested up. I did just a little bit. I made a lot of TikTok videos, so I was still kind of working. But it was very nice. I slept most of yesterday. Right here in front of the Milan Cathedral, we have something very unique. And I just want to shout out to the super urbanists and mega urbanists who support the show. Right now in the distance, there's some very popular classical rock music playing. Sometimes I get copyrighted for this. That means that after this video is done, I can make money off of it. Of course, I make these videos also as a living. And super urbanists and mega urbanists allow me to make videos despite circumstances like these, because I like making it live. So give a round of hearts to super urbanists and mega urbanists. Now, when I come to any part of Europe or anywhere around the world, but Europe is a lot easier, I love finding the New York connections. I always get this giddy feeling of like, oh yes, we are connected to New York somehow. And over here we have a very big New York connection. I'm going to show you the facade of the Milan Cathedral and let me know, what do you think is the New York connection with this cathedral? And no, it's not St. John the Divine. St. John the Divine is the 5th largest church in the world, cathedral in the world. This is the 3rd largest. The 2nd largest in this peninsula after the Vatican, but technically the largest in Italy, because the Vatican is not part of Italy. So what do you think it is? Someone just said it. Gabriela knows. Okay, we'll just allow a few more guesses and do not read Gabriela's comment. What do you think it is? Let me zoom in. What do you think it is? Wendy says I keep be guessing all day. With all these statues, yes, it's very easy to be guessing all day. Is it the Gothic style? Esfiel says, oh, I see it. Well, Bella says, what's the question? What part of this facade has inspired New York? What's connected with New York here? And there's another thing connected with the US soon, but we're talking about New York right now. Hey, Ariel, thank you so much for sending $10. My dad is so kind to send me a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. A church? It is a church, indeed, JYC. Ooh, Nick says the Chrysler Building. That is a very good guess. Chrysler Building, definitely Art Deco, has some inspirations from Gothic architecture. Empire State Building, that is another good guess. I like that. But here, let's zoom in. Let's zoom in. St. Patrick's Cathedral? St. Patrick's Cathedral, yes, that is actually a very good guess, and that might have some truth to it. The cathedral might be inspired by the Milan Cathedral, but that's not quite what I'm referring to. I'm referring to this statue. What does that look like to all of you? Does that look familiar to the great symbol of America? The woman who has beckoned immigrants from all around the world to find a new life in New York City and the rest of the US. Well, no one knows this 100% for sure, but the legend has it that Frederick Bartoli, who came over here, he was the designer of famous sculptor in France. He came over here, exploring Milan, as many other great artists did, as many great intellectuals had. Campari Spritz right over here, we're gonna learn about that soon. He came over here, was in awe of this cathedral, and something caught his eye right up there. Frederick Bartoli was so blown away that he's like, I got an idea. Maybe I should build this for Egypt. Yeah, not New York. He wanted to build a gigantic statue on the Suez Canal. And this huge statue was going to be Liberty. Right over here. Let's go a little bit further up. There we go. Right over there. She has a lot more rays on her crown. A lot more. However, the Suez Canal plan did not work because Egypt just didn't have the money, unfortunately. And yes, France was going to build a huge sculpture, but no one really wanted to fund a gigantic sculpture in the middle of the canal. So they found a new person to gift it to. You ever had that situation where you buy a gift for a friend and you end up realizing, oh, this friend is not going to appreciate it. This friend's not going to be able to use it. This friend might even re-gift it. Well, that was the situation with Egypt. Well, they end up finding a new friend. That friend ended up being the United States of America. And it was a kind gift for them for U.S. inspiring France for the entire revolution. Well, this was inspired, according to legend, the Statue of Liberty. So who knows? Frederick Bartholdi might have stood right here. Hey Al, nice to see you here. Welcome Al. Welcome sunshine. Thank you David, I appreciate it. Hello Jeannie. Wendy says that's so fascinating. Oh yes. Look how many statues there are. Now let's take the long way around. We're gonna get over here. So, Statue of Liberty is not the only, or this Milan Cathedral is not the only mark it had on the US. There's another structure right over here that inspired structures all around the US. Dare I say, too many of them. It was an invasion of this particular structure, of this particular way of commerce. Let's say that. But we'll take the long way around to this area over here. Stay tuned. Hey, Kay says thank you. Facebook is doubling stars this month. Indeed. Hello, Veronica. Good day. So you might notice that something here imitates this over here. So this is the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II, named after the guy in the center who unified Italy. However, there was another guy who fancied himself to be the next Vittorio Emanuele II. Well, his name was Benito. And Benito wanted to imitate the grand archways of this Galleria, which we'll visit soon. And he made these ones in his typical style, the fascist style. However, Milan was bombarded to near utter destruction during World War II, and thus they never had the ability to finish off the plans and making another grand arch right over here. Right down there is one of the very first high-rises in all of Italy. I think the first high-rise in all of Italy. And this one's run by the Martini company, or owned by it. Martini, of course, we know as the famous liquor company. Morgan says the grandeur, indeed Benito. Oh yes, Benito liked his very kind of grand archways. I like it. I like the architectural style. Not fan of the man, but I like the architectural style. I've seen worse when it comes to totalitarian architectural styles. Sunshine says, I would love a good martini. Oh yeah. And here are some reliefs. And these reliefs, also very similar to what we would see in Art Deco in New York. Oh, look at that. Janice, thank you so much for 100 stars. Veronica says, magnificent indeed. Let's stroll around here. So right here we have, on this other side, we have the Museo del Novecento, the Museum of the 1900s. I can't wait to go in here. Haven't gone inside yet. I came here in 2015, and this is one of the museums that absolutely blew me away. I was really stunned by how interesting this museum is. It's modern art, or art from the 1900s. They have a massive exhibition of futurism, which unfortunately is closed at the moment, but they had other very interesting artworks. Hey, Wendy says the details, fab. Hello, have you been traveling for some time, says Liz? I have indeed. Ah, S Fields, yes, you're right. The CE is pronounced sh, Novecento. Thank you. Hey, Cake Fate. Change your name on YouTube. Oh, I'm so glad, Cake Fate. Thank you so much for tuning in. And another famous thing about Milan is the tram system. Look at this. There's taller buildings in Milan. There is indeed, Bella. So this is the massive tram system. And they crisscross the entire city. And Peggy, train, in a way, yes, but it is officially called a tram. Right here. They're kind of a successor to the streetcar system. Now these are very fun to ride because you get to see the city as you're riding through here, these streetcars or trams. Travels at light speed, says Sunshine. I wish it did, though. So one thing you'll notice coming here to Milan is that if you look at Google Maps and try to find the directions to anywhere in the city, generally it takes almost the same amount of time to walk it as to take public transportation. It's not because the public transportation is bad per se, Well, it's because it's passing in the middle of the street, most of it, at least. And of course, the metro system is not as thorough as New York or Paris one is, or London one. So yeah, usually taking the tram takes the same amount of time walking. But of course, you're sitting during that time on the tram. But it's interesting because in New York City, San Francisco, many of the great cities in the U.S., there used to be a massive streetcar network. Brooklyn was crisscrossed with a bunch of streetcars. Imagine if Brooklyn had this nowadays. Of course we don't, because the streetcar system was destroyed, the tracks were taken away, dismantled, and we no longer have anything surviving from that streetcar system. But if we did, Brooklyn could have had this. Imagine how much easier it would have been going through Brooklyn and not only taking the metro, the subway. All right, let's continue walking around. Sunshine, Ariel's on point today, looking good. Thank you so much, Sunshine. So this is the largest cathedral in all of Italy, the third largest cathedral in the world. It's a little bit contentious because it might be number 4 if you can include that one in Africa. I'm not sure why the Africa one is never included in many of the lists. But it's number 3 or number 4 in the world. Bigger than the one in the Cathedral St. John the Divine, and it takes 10 minutes to walk the entire perimeter. But let's do it. Kathy, welcome. Thank you, Caddy. Thank you so much for 100 stars. Hey, Ronald, nice to see you here.
Keep a safe distance of 2 meters.
Victoria, amo este catedral. Victoria says, I love this cathedral. Bella, nice to see you here. Welcome. Now, this cathedral is mostly known as just simply the Milan Cathedral, but its official patron saint, of course, is Santa Maria, the Virgin Mary. Is it closed for COVID? No, it's open. It's just very empty. There's not that many tourists in Milan. Yeah, not that many tourists in Milan. There's no huge lines as usually the Duomo has. Mind-blowing carvings, yeah. Super intricate style. A crazy mishmash of different architects and designers made this because it took 6 centuries to complete. And you can walk through the rooftops right over here. Can I do a video in the church? Maybe, Pam, maybe. Not right now because I would need tickets ahead of time. And the spire is huge. Here we have the Museo del Duomo, which is the museum on the cathedral. And this used to be the Palazzo Reale, or it's still the name of the building. It houses the museum right now. Margaret, thank you so much for the 50 stars. I appreciate you, Margaret. Thank you. BP says, dang, I want to be here now. Oh, BP, yeah. And Novecento, the museum, has a cafe up here, so better views. There's a few cafes where you can see views of the Duomo. Judy, welcome from the Netherlands. Nice to see you here. Peggy says, what time of year is the best time to go? You know, that really depends. I really love traveling in the summer. And for me, I really like summer in Italy. But if you want it very empty, come here on March. There's barely people here in March. That's when I came in 2015. October, it's still warm, but there's less tourists than March. Did you have a cup of coffee, says Hanson. I did. Yeah, I already had a few cups today. Oh, for some reason this is upside down. Victoria, ¿cuánto tiempo tardaron a completar el catedral? Se tardó 6 siglos. It took 6 centuries to finish. Hanson, are there lockdowns? No, no lockdowns here. Here's the place to buy your ticket. Right here, Duomo. So you can buy on the spot right now because it's not that many people. Not compared to Florence. Florence had way more people lining up to go see their Duomo and also to go into the other museums. Vero, nice to see you here. ¿Y todavía están trabajando? Sí, they're still doing some work. Gabriela says, and they're still doing some work. Yeah, they are. Is that Peter crucified upside down? I think it is. I think it is. Paul, great question. Oh, look at how beautiful this. So there's actually gargoyles too. And we see them right over here. So, gargoyles, these are proper gargoyles, unlike the ones in Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they're technically just grotesques, and Notre Dame referring to the huge cathedral in the middle of Paris, which is famous for its gargoyles. But the real function of a gargoyle comes from the word gargle, and it is to actually gargle out water that accumulates on the rooftops. Hence, that's why they originally made gargoyles. When you see another monster, that's technically, at least architecturally, is called a grotesque. So right here, they're actually meant for gargling water. They actually have a practical purpose. And look how huge this backside is. Wendy says, oh my, it's magical. Oh yes, indeed it is. It's super magical. Margaret says, thank you for explaining gargoyles and grotesques. Hey, Morgan says, you taught me, Ariel, so I may not boast in your presence. Morgan, what do you mean, Morgan? Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, Nassie says, famous painted glass. So I'm not sure. These, oh yeah, these are painted. It's just the color is very faded. Let's zoom in. That's a great observation, Nassie. The color is very faded. It's really hard to see. Really, really hard to see. And a lot of these statues look so relaxed. Wow. Beautiful. So there's still hope for Cathedral St. John the Divine in Morningside Heights in Manhattan. If you don't know too much about the cathedral, check out my video, The Cathedrals of Morningside Heights, or The Cathedrals of Uptown Manhattan. I think it was the name of the video. And that cathedral is the 5th largest in the world, or 6th. As I mentioned, there's some drama that happens with some in Africa. I'm not sure why. I gotta look into that. But that cathedral is still under construction to this day. It's already past 300 years or so. This took 600 years, so there's still hope. There's still hope for Cathedral St. John the Divine to one day be fully completed. And with the massive advertisement. Maybe Cathedral St. John the Divine should get sponsored by Samsung. That would make it a lot easier on their lives. And right here, there is the metro system. Lillian says, fabulous. My pleasure. So there we go. Maybe Cathedral St. John the Divine should get sponsored by Samsung. No wonder they've been able to complete this cathedral. All right, let's walk on the wild side. Hey, Margaret says, you are a little homesick. St. John the Divine is the largest, certainly one of the largest in the world. Yep. There's only one cathedral between this one and St. John. Let me know when. Just like Sagrada Familia is supposed to be finished by 2026. I hope it finally finishes. Uh-oh, I forgot that there was music here. Girl Curl says, I knew it was Milan. How can you tell? St. Peter's is number 1 or 2. Again, depending on the Africa one. Margaret, thank you so much for 50 stars. Facebook is doubling stars this next 3 weeks, 2 weeks. These next 2 weeks or so, Facebook is doubling stars. Zap says, who's that screaming? Yeah. I'm not sure why they... I see some great buskers here. That sir is not one of them. This seems as big as a square in CDMX. No, CDMX is even bigger. The thing is, CDMX looks bigger because the Cathedral A is way more grand than the one in Mexico City. And then beyond that, the buildings here, since they look so kind of monumental, as opposed to a little bit more less decorative ones in Mexico City, I think that gives off the impression that this one is huge. But no, Mexico City is probably double the size of this. Okay, so America. Oh yeah, we're talking about America in the middle of Milan because it's very important. America in the 1950s or so was invaded by a horde of shopping malls. These shopping malls were developed by an architect from Central Europe. And suddenly we had them all around the US. But where does the shopping mall come from? Well, one of the earliest versions is what we saw in Rome, which is the grand markets of Trajan. But there is a new modern inspiration for the shopping mall, especially these shopping malls that you see with these grand promenades and these grand galleries that you walk through. None of them quite got to the grandeur of this one. But when this was originally released, unveiled, people thought it was garish, too grandiose, too much. But of course, it ended up becoming one of the major landmarks of Milan. This is the very inspiration for many of the shopping malls in America. So if you've been to Roosevelt Field, if you've been to, name any other shopping mall that has this similar style, let me know. This is the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II. Dean says arcades in Paris share the same concept. They do. And I think this one inspired the Parisian ones. Now to open up the Galleria is this huge triumphal arch in the name of Vittorio Emanuele II as well. And here we have one of the more famous bars in the entire world. This bar is the home of one of my favorite cocktails. Now the story of this cocktail is a bit more complicated because America is also involved in the making of this cocktail. But this is where it started really getting popular, and that is the Negroni. But beyond the Negroni, also the Campari Spritz, which is famous all around Italy now. Also the Aperol Spritz, but the Campari Spritz specifically was popularized right here at the Camparino bar in the Galleria. Now Campari Spritz was developed. I have a question. Yes, sure. I'm doing a live video, so make it quick.
You on Instagram?
I'm on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah.
I want to know your girlfriend's a blogger.
Yeah.
$8,000.
Oh, cool, cool. What does she do? What type of?
She does Instagram.
Oh,
Like $8,000.
that's cool. No, not right now, but thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, so Camparino Bar. This was developed by Davide Campari. Davide was actually born right over here, right above this, what used to be the Cafe Campari. So this used to be the Cafe Campari, opened up by Gaspare Campari in 1867 when this Galleria officially opened. And right up there, Davide, the son of Gaspare, was born. And he decided to follow in his father's footsteps and open up the Camparino right over here. And here is where he had a direct line to the basement where they were making fresh seltzer, fresh spritz, in order to pump it up, chilled, and make it combine with Campari. And of course, and Prosecco. You have the Campari seltzer and you also have the Campari spritz. Yeah, the dude was a bit suspicious. A bit suspicious. If you did not hear, he was saying that his girlfriend is a famous Instagram influencer who's live streaming right now, and she wanted to interview me, which was a bit weird. I couldn't tell you logically what was weird, but I didn't get a good vibe. So. So yeah, here's where the Negroni was invented. Oh, not invented, but popularized. Because all the intellectuals started hanging out here and they started drinking Negronis, they started drinking Americanos, which is another drink very similar to the Negroni, Campari Spritz, Campari Seltzer, and all the amazing cocktails made with Campari. Are we going for a Spritz, Peggy? I have another video about the Spritz. Now this is a new place called Mota. So the original Cafe Campari is no longer here. Oh, photo. So that's the original Campari bar. Sergio, you had one of the worst hangovers ever. Why? From Campari? It's so refreshing having Campari Spritz. Bella says, Negroni Spritz all sounds good. Indeed it does. Do they use Secco or Spritz in the Venetian Spritz? It's a Spritz is a Campari Spritz, Aperol Spritz is the liquor with Prosecco and a touch of Spritz, aka seltzer, aka carbonated water, or sometimes sparkling water if they're doing it very fancy. If you want it just without the Prosecco, then you will have to order a Campari seltzer. That ceiling, wowzer, oh yeah, it's beautiful. The ceiling is gorgeous. Constantinos, hey, Constantino says, hey, been there, go to the Club Hollywood, many fashion models here. Ooh, all right, that's so cool. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Es una belleza. Oh, yes, indeed. Hey, nice to see you here. is far beautiful than my local mall. Yeah, I'm not sure why we never innovated with this in the US, because US popularized. I'm not sure why. Why? We took inspiration. Make. And you might be thinking to, they had to, well, it is expensive for neighborhood. That was between so they had to tear down the entire neighborhood, but this is not that expensive as it looks. This facade right over here was actually implemented at the very last. And yeah, there's bad service here, unfortunately. Here's how it looked like when it was open. Hey, BA, thank you so much. BA gives a $5 super chat. Says get some coffee. I will do. So this was constructed by the very famous architect of the region, Mingoni, Giuseppe Mingoni. Right over here. But when this opened up later in the 1870s, fully completed, 100% completed, they did not have a huge ceremony. One, Vittorio Emanuele died a month before. But two, Giuseppe Mingoni, who made this grand Galleria, he was repairing for the grand opening after a massive hailstorm destroyed 77,000 panes of glass. The storm was devastating. As I mentioned, there was already a few shops already. Some of the earlier fashion houses. Absolutely the Galleria. Open it fully. Ivy, when was the storm? It was in the 1870s. Giuseppe, or at least joining scaffoldings here at his death. Yeah, there's bad service here. I'm surprised because it's so wide open. And it's actually not stone. So here, most of this facade is a very thin layer covering all the steel that makes up this entire structure. So yeah, it's a huge steel structure. Similar to what we have, of course, with the Empire State Building. This is Rizzoli Books. Rizzoli also has a big store in New York City as well. And this, also one of the older magazine publishers in Italy. Looks like the U.S. Capitol dome. Indeed it is, yeah. Yeah, it has a similar look to it. Let me see. Hopefully the service is better this direction. Milan's most beautiful arcade. I was there 50 years ago, says Daryl. And there was a grand arcade in Atlanta, Georgia. Unfortunately, no longer there. Yeah. That's a great comment, Daryl. A very important comment. I think Milan is the best city to visit to get a sense of how some of America's greatest cities look like. You would think, oh, no way, Atlanta did not look like this. Or Chicago or Philadelphia. No way. They did. They had similar buildings. Some of those buildings even inspired some of the buildings here. Some of the buildings here inspired some of the buildings there that were built just a few years later. America had buildings as grand as these ones. Some of them even more grander. Some other ones were good imitations, but nothing quite close. But the point is, we lost them. Of course, in New York, we still have some of that beauty, in Boston as well, and a very small part of Philadelphia. But most of Chicago, Atlanta, lost many of these grand buildings that we had. I mean, Bryant Park had a building as big as this. Of course, it wasn't a shopping mall. It was more kind of a huge exposition center, but it was big. It was big as this. And it burned down to the ground in record time due to careless maintenance of it. So it's so sad that in America we had this, but we tore it down. We tore it down in order to build a mall, a parking lot. Check out many of the maps from Atlanta or from Chicago from the late 1800s, 1890s. And then compare it with the maps today. It's so sad that we lost it. B. Griffith says, did it look like this? In the top part, yes. This top part is very similar. The bottom part, just imagine this top part, but the entire thing. That's how the Bryant Park one looked like. Are the shops expensive here? Now they are. So I came here in 2015, and I can't really walk around too much around this area. There's very bad service, but luckily here there's some good service. I came here in 2015, and I was stunned. I was horrified that there was a particular American shop here. And no, it wasn't a high fashion brand. It was not Tom Ford or Ralph Lauren. That would have been more acceptable to me. I would have been proud as an American to see a Tom Ford or a Ralph Lauren over here. But no, it was a McDonald's. Esfield says the Gap. No, that would have been even worse. Lorraine, thank you so much for 1,000 stars. I appreciate it. It was a McDonald's. A McDonald's was right here, right in the center of the Galleria, where Prada is located right now. I'll show you in a little bit. And when I saw that, I was stunned by its beauty, but I thought to myself, why is there a McDonald's here? I mean, it wasn't even a fancy McDonald's. They didn't even make it as fancy as the one in Times Square. The McDonald's outside looked like any other McDonald's. The chairs that they had on the actual Galleria space looked like any random McDonald's chairs. They didn't even fancy it up like they did in Times Square, or like there's 2 or 3 other McDonald's that are a little bit fancier in the world. And I was stunned. Well, a few years before I came here, came here just in time because McDonald's was actually nearing the end of its lease. 2012, Italy refused to renew, or Milan, the city, refused to renew the lease of McDonald's. McDonald's started crying, claiming that they were being wrongfully targeted. And thus McDonald's sued the city of Milan for 27 million euro, saying that they've lost tens of millions of dollars in revenue. They claim they could have made 60 million euro in revenue that year alone. So they were saying, no, you stole our revenue. Well, that lawsuit was never followed through because the city of Milan ended up giving something to McDonald's, a nearby location at the other end of the Galleria, but it's not within the actual Galleria itself. So McDonald's was happy and decided to put down the lawsuit. A Sil says, wow, what a grand mall. So let's see if I can show you Prada, and let me show you the floors. We'll zoom in on details as well. Is the floor slippery? If it was rainy, yes, it would be, but not right now. So that's where the McDonald's used to be at. You see that huge Prada right there. I wonder if they have a Ralph Lauren store. They do not have a Ralph Lauren store. No, I don't see any American brands here. So let me know. What would you prefer? A McDonald's or a Prada? Let me know in the comments. I'll zoom in on the details. So again, this is not stone. It is all stucco and terracotta and cheaper materials. S Fields, yeah, unfortunately the bowl, there's no service. I was trying to show it, but there's no service there. So stay tuned for a shorter TikTok video. Can it rain in here? Unless if there's a massive hailstorm which crushes all the glasses, leaving them shattered upon the floor of the Galleria, and then subsequently of that hailstorm it starts pouring rain, then yes. Otherwise, no. No, there's no holes here, and I don't think rain seeps through. You're right by the Ferrari shop. I don't think the Ferrari shop is here anymore. I've already walked here a few times. I've not seen the Ferrari shop. Rocky says, I don't wear Prada, so a Big Mac would be better. That's funny. Ciao, Forza Milano, says Tutan. I'm so glad, Tutan. Does it feel humid in here? Not humid nor cooler. It feels about the same. Yeah, about the same. Great question, Catherine. Humid, I don't think it retains too much humidity. Well, that is a good question. I think it doesn't have a greenhouse effect, so it doesn't feel hotter. That was the issue with a lot of these steel frame glass buildings in Britain, in London specifically. The only one that you really do see of the original steel glass framed greenhouses were in Spain, and they get really, really hot, but these ones don't. This one doesn't. I've been here many times and it doesn't feel hot. Not sure why. Not sure how they prevent it. There used to be a hotel, though. I'm not sure if the hotel's still here. The roof is ventilated, says Dean. Ooh, thank you. Yeah. And Hesse right. The one in Madrid is called Palacio de Cristal. The Crystal Palaces. That was the name. The Crystal Palaces. So, in Europe, in around the 1850s to about the early 1860s, there was a huge fad of building crystal palaces. And it's because steel production got very cheap and very easy, and they could build very big. Of course, they can also make glass. So they built these gigantic crystal palaces all around London, Germany, New York, which is in Bryant Park, and Spain in the Parque de Tiro, which I actually showed in a live video when I visited back in 2018. They were all around Europe. Thing is, almost all of them burned down to the ground because, as I mentioned, they make a greenhouse effect. Okay? They make a greenhouse effect where everything heats up very significantly inside. And that, unfortunately, caused it to burn down very quickly. As we know, steel beams burn down very quickly. Or at least that's what they say. The only surviving one is in Spain. And this one didn't burn down, I think, because Milan most of the year isn't really that hot. Milan is actually mostly covered in mist and very cloudy most of the year. I think we are doing well at this moment in time. And then beyond that, it's not fully glass and steel. So it's not covering the entire structure in heat, unlike it is now. Unlike the Crystal Palaces. Was there a separate parking structure when it opened? Nope. This was before the car, Ronald. Great question. Before the car. Cars really started becoming popular by the 1920s. However, this hat store has been here for more than a century. Look at that. Let me show you the hats. So this store, Borsalino. Let's see the prices of the hats. They're about 126 euro. So 126 euro. They're about 110 euro more than the hat sponsored by Wendy. Thank you so much, Wendy. 120 euro. They look very nice. I wonder if they're actually worth 120 euro. Though this one does look very cool. Colleen says I would look good in those. Oh, thank you so much, Colleen. Let me know, do you think they're worth 120 euro? Here's the Leonardo da Vinci Museum. Milan is very pricey, says Dean. Dolo están feos, says Victoria. Victoria says all of them are ugly. The Capri one was way better. We're missing your hat, says Bella. We are not really in a city where it requires too much hat wearing because it is pretty cool here. Mala says, please buy the hat to compare. That would be that would be a very expensive comparison. Panagiotis is craft? I doubt it. So Panagiotis is from Greece. And in Greece, they have a industry of making those type of hats. And they make it by hand in Greece as well. Same thing here in Italy. So I'm not sure if you could get better paper materials, because many of them are paper hats. So this appears to be a governmental building. Victoria says, oh, I'm lying. They're actually very nice, but they're too expensive. Eso sí es verdad, Victoria. All right, so here we're at Piazza della Scala, and here we have a very famous statue. Who's this man, ladies and gentlemen? This very, very tall statue. Hint, his likeness was used as Socrates in the School of Athens by Raphael in the Pope apartments in the Vatican. Who is this man? Down below we have students of him. These students went on to expand his legacy. Jen says it's the Undertaker. Kind of looks like the Undertaker from the behind, but no, this is Leonardo da Vinci himself. Right here, looking down at the Milanese. One of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The reason they have a huge statue of Leonardo was because the families here, the Sforza family, were big patrons of Leonardo, and also he made a few of his very important artworks right here in Milan. And here are scenes from Leonardo's life. So have we completed all the 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in this trip? We've seen Michelangelo, we've seen Leonardo, we've seen Raphael, and I did not show the museum with Donatello in Florence. So no, we are left with 1 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle on these live videos. Now I wish I would have shown the Donatello sculpture. Is there a Donatello here in Milan? Someone let me know, please. This is very important information. Is there a Donatello in Milan? It is very important to complete the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle quadfecta, I think is the term. Victoria says, no ha visto un estatua gorda. I have not seen a fat statue. Es que yo creo que muchas personas no eran tan gordos. Algunos papas eran gordos y yo no lo enseñé esta vez, pero en el 2019 yo fui a Roma a la Galleria Borghese y había una estatua de uno de los papas, uno de los cardinales. El cardinal Borghese era bien gordo, pero no lo enseñé este viaje. So there's a few fat statues. There is a statue of a very heavy-set man. His name was Cardinal Borghese in the Borghese Gallery in Rome, and he was a pretty heavy-set man. There's not that many heavy-set statues in general in Italy. Donatello is the only one left. Yep, Milan. It is indeed the only one left. Annabelle says I have to come back. Ooh, I'm not sure what scene this is, but it looks like the scene that Leonardo is proposing a way to improve the canals of Milan. Catherine says, we don't say fat, we say voluptuous. Indeed. In Verona there is. It says NW. Okay, so it seems like I gotta go to Verona to fulfill the quadfecta of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let me know, where was Donatello from? I barely have read about Donatello. We've learned about all the other ones. Let me know, where is Donatello, the real life Donatello, from? Morgan, yeah, I'll show those canals soon. Morgan says that Leonardo made improvements to the canal system to get rid of the smell, which is no longer here. But who sculpted the statue? Ooh, I don't know. Good question. If anyone knows the sculptor of the Leonardo statue. Donatello is from Florence. Oh, awesome. I went to the Uffizi Gallery, so I probably saw Donatello. I just did not make a live video of it. Here's one of the more famous operas in the entire world. Verdi had opera shows here, Puccini, Rossini, all the Inis that you can think of had opera shows here. In the museum of the Teatro alla Scala, there is locks of Mozart's hair. So yes, they take their opera and their classical music seriously. Fortunately, it's closed right now. It's reopening in September. I wish I can go inside, but here's let's show you how it looks like inside. Adam, how did I get to Milan? Yeah, by train. Easiest way to travel around to the major Italian cities. By train. You'll save a lot, you're saving yourself a lot more hassle if you take a train. Buses, I think there are buses here, but I think they do take longer than train. Catherine says, your cotton shirts look so cool. Literally cool cotton in hot climates. Oh yeah. This is one of the older trams. So cool. Let's take a closer look. Alicine says all the Inis. Yes, all the Inis performed here. Let me know, what other Inis are there? There's Rossini, there's Puccini, there's a few other Inis. Train system in Europe is excellent. In many countries it is, yeah. I would not take the train in Greece too much though. Greece, you're better off flying. George says, let's take the bus, the double-decker. I would love to show a double-decker. Stay tuned. I might show it at some point. Ooh, in the Castello Sforza in Milan, there's apparently a Donatello. Ooh, okay. That's good to know. Thank you so much, Mercy. Hey, Rossini. They have Rossini here. Oh, they're having the Barber of Seville. Oh my God. I would love to see that. How's the food so far? Ooh, Nina, that is a very great question. I was under the impression that Milan was going to be like Thessaloniki in Greece. And the reason I thought that was because it's more of a cosmopolitan city than, say, Florence or Rome. Rome is the biggest city in Italy, if I'm correct. but it doesn't feel as cosmopolitan because it's so touristy and so traditional that you don't feel like you're in a big, massive city similar to like Manhattan in New York. So I thought Milan was going to be like Thessaloniki in that regard. Thessaloniki is kind of the more cosmopolitan city of Greece. However, there's actually not that much interesting food here, traditional food. I gotta find a good risotto Milanese, but they don't seem so kind of everywhere as I saw pasta carbonara and cacio e pepe in Rome. Not like everywhere. And I don't see too many like meat specialties like Florence and Tuscany had. So let me know if there's a great like meat specialty here. And then you don't see like those panini shops that you see also in Florence. So I haven't seen too much kind of tradition here in Milan, but what I have seen here in Milan is variety. There's a huge variety of food here. So there is, yesterday I had an amazing ramen bowl that blew me away. I've seen a lot of poke bowl shops all around, which is Hawaiian seafood. And they're really big here. So some of those places are completely packed with people. Some great pizza places. And there's a lot more chains here. Local chains or regional chains that you don't really see too much in Rome as much. So here there's a chain called Farini Bakery, which is really good. Great pizza. So yeah, it's different. It's a little bit more similar to New York, but I'm not sure. I can't tell you if there's like really excellent food here yet. Maybe I gotta give it more of a chance. So let me know if you have any recommendations. Esfiel says much more industrial and business-like. Yes, I think that's the reason why there is it's not a big foodie scene, but more kind of quick foods. Another thing is, at this time right now, a lot of places are dead for good heavy foods. If you want to eat a heavy meal, you have to wait at minimum 6:30 and usually more around 7:30 is where you can find a lot of good heavy foods here in Milan. However, if you are usually a person who eats during this time, there's one thing I would recommend you doing in Milan, and that is getting yourself an aperitivo. And here's where the tradition of the aperitivo is much more stronger than it is in Rome or in Sorrento or in Venice. Here, aperitivo, some of them come with full buffets of tiny little snacks, tiny little sandwiches, little finger foods, and things like that. And there's aperitivo bars here galore. We'll probably pass a few of them as we walk a little bit more in the city center. So yeah, a lot of aperitivo bars. So that probably is the best thing to eat during this time of day. But unfortunately, I'm not so much of a fan of finger food, personally. Let me know what you think. This is what I notice in Italy a lot. There's a big culture of finger foods or cured meats like the charcuterie that you would have in Paris, in France. You have the cured meats and the cheeses, or the finger foods of aperitivo with the tiny little sandwiches. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like my full meals. Let me know, what do you think about that? Usually in New York, I usually never go for finger foods. I usually have, a full rice bowl or avocado toast or a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll or a full salad bowl. Let me know, what was your opinion? Roland says, depends whose finger is it. Touche, Roland, touche. This looks like a huge parking lot, but it's not. But is this inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright's Guggenheim? Let's check it out. Let's go around. Mater says, as long as there's no fingers in my food. Yeah, you like more of a full hearty meal, says Bella. Yes. that's what I loved about Tuscany. Tuscany had amazing hearty foods. Oh wow, the stews. Watch my Tuscany food video that I posted on TikTok and on Facebook, and it's also on Instagram. Check it out if you want to like know. Ooh, Tuscany, just amazing. I want to go back. Here's another theater, the Filodrammatica. Filodrammatiki. How do you pronounce I in Italian? Let me know. Nina, Puerto Rico, we do not eat too many finger foods. Yes, it's more full meals. And yeah, we do have our fried pastelitos and piononos and things like that, but it is, those are really hearty as well. You can have one or two and feel full. Filodrammatici. Thank you so much, S Fields. Filodrammatici. So here the other Inis had their performances. Rossini, Puccini. So let's see this new building. What is it about? So there's new buildings here, and the reason that there's more new buildings here than in Rome or in Venice or in Florence is because this was more heavily bombed by the Allied soldiers, Allied forces, than all those other cities. So you can blame America for bombing this poor city. And we have new Art Deco, Art Nouveau, other types of architecture here. I'm not sure if there's brutalism. Oh, I wonder if there is. Tonya, what's the video where you're riding a water taxi? I think I have water taxi in the title, or I'll add it. It's the Burano video. The video where I explore the island of Burano. Adam asks, was Milan involved in any wars? Constant wars. Milan was also a part of the Italian unification in the mid-1800s. Milan was a constant battlefield during the medieval era. Napoleon invaded, the Spaniards took over. Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, architect who was Spaniard actually worked on the cathedral. And then the Allied forces bombed this entire city. So yeah, you have a lot of historical buildings, but amidst these historical buildings, modern buildings from the 60s and 70s, like we have here. Oh, look at this. Victoria says, piononos. Class, yeah, Burano tour is my longest in Venice, and the water taxi is on the 2-hour and 21-minute mark. Wish we knew history better. I'm exaggerating. No, we should not blame the Americans too harshly, I think. It was very complicated. War was very complicated. And yeah, you know, if Allied forces didn't bomb any given city, then who knows what city would have been bombed somewhere else in other parts of Western Europe. Who knows if New York would have been the victim of bombings. It's a complicated history. Ideally, peace is better, of course, always. So let's go down this way. Hey, Paola, Milan, the very best. Oh, I'm so glad you're enjoying it. Thank you. This is a very nice area. I like this. Much quieter. Didn't know about the Milan bombing. Yeah, unfortunately Milan was bombed a lot, so I did not show it before, but here, let me show it. Vittorio Emanuele II. That was the result of the Allied bombing. Let me know if anyone else was involved. Who was the main that bombed Milan? Do let us know. Adam asks, where am I staying? Adam, you will find out, as always, towards the end of my trip. Oh. This looks nice. As I mentioned, very cosmopolitan, and as we can see here, we're starting to see how cosmopolitan the cuisine is, because you'll find these treats made with matcha, for example. Something you'll see in the US, but not so much in other parts of Italy. Ooh, passion lemon with Italian meringue. All right, who wants to try it? This looks good. So, in Milan, it's gonna be a little bit harder to show you like traditional foods. Otherwise, I have to make a reservation at Trattoria, which maybe I'll do, but it'll be a little bit harder to show you very traditional foods. So I think we have to embrace showing the more kind of cosmopolitan foods. So let me know. Paola says, go to the canals for some traditional aperitivo. Yes, yes. Stay tuned. All right. Decided to play music because they had reggaeton playing inside. Reggaeton strikes again. What did you get? Ooh, I'll show you. Just gotta sit here for a second. All right. So I got this meringue with passion fruit. So this is Italian meringue with some type of passion fruit filling, I think. And some lemon. And unfortunately, I asked for a fork and she was so confused. And then she was like, no fork. And I asked for a spoon. And she was also very confused, like, oh, but I said no fork. It was like no spoon either. And it's because they have no takeaway utensils. So it's not quite like the US or other parts of Europe where a lot of these places do have takeaway utensils. All right, let's try it out. So I'm so excited to try this out. I love meringue. I haven't had a good meringue, Susie. So yeah, me too. I really like it. Let's try it out. Wow. Great filling of passion fruit. The meringue. So interesting. Almost tastes like a marshmallow in a way. It has a kind of a marshmallow taste to it. But this filling, oh wow. Oh, that tastes so good. The actual crust is very hard, so it's almost like a tart. Or it is a tart. That's so good. Meringue is so interesting. Let me know what how meringue is made. But it's so similar to a marshmallow, except a little bit more creamier than a marshmallow. You're near the Castello Sforza. Indeed I am, Franco. And indeed I am. And Nina says, I'm glad it's good. It is, yeah. I would recommend this. Have one more bite. It looks burnt on top. I think that's on purpose. Yeah, that's on purpose. So Italy, you don't really find too many sweets like this. Too many cakes. It's not like quite like France or other countries. I think Vienna as well is known for its cakes. Not so much here. So I was stunned to see a beautiful cake shop here. And I know Starbucks is having shortages of plastic lids in European countries. Maybe. How can you eat without drinking something, says Nina. Easy. By eating and not drinking. It looks like a lemon meringue pie, yeah, but there's some passion fruit in there as well. So it's not pure lemon. But yeah, it's a lemon meringue pie. All right, let's continue walking around. We'll show you more of Milan. So I recommend this place. Oh, George, you sent more books from my Amazon wishlist. Oh, thank you so much, George. So, baunila. Marcin is not that type of channel. How is Milano coffee? I don't see too much specialty coffee shops here. I was actually stunned. I was expecting Milan to, since it was more cosmopolitan, I was expecting to have more specialty coffee shops. But like in Italy, anywhere, there's generally good coffee anywhere in the entire country. You go to the smallest bars, the most old mom and pop places that have been there for decades, to the more fancier places where they're all kind of suited up. They all have excellent coffee, so I don't think you're without good coffee here. But you're not gonna find specialty coffee shops, which I actually was looking forward to try at least once in Italy. There's the Starbucks Reserve Roastery, but there's a few other places that are all closed for August. The people of Milano are kind to tourists. Yeah, it's similar to a big city. You kind of just blend in here as a tourist. Many people are not going to be able to tell that you are indeed a tourist, I think, most of the time. It's similar to Thessaloniki in that regard. It's has more of a big city feel. Decky, am I from Italy? No. Puerto Rico, raised in New York. The land of reggaeton. That's where I'm from. Oh, wow. Lemon, good evening. Nice to see you here, Lemon. Welcome. If anyone could tell Liz to press the live button because she's watching behind in the YT comments. So a baseball hat is not a dead giveaway. A baseball hat would be a dead giveaway for American, yeah. Still, Italy does not have too many baseball caps. You have other baseball caps in other countries where they do wear baseball caps, but not so much here. Let me know if you're European. Does your country have people who wear baseball caps? I know in London I saw a few baseball caps. Or caps just in general. Susie, did I miss the skyscrapers? Nope, not yet. Huh? Hey, Lorraine. I hope Lorraine watches this because here we have a poke spot. Here you can find poke balls. Bowls. Not balls, like Pokemon. Poke hops. They're very well designed. Is it safe to walk on the tracks? Yeah, the tracks are not electrified. These wires are. So don't hang on the wires. You can walk on the tracks, but don't swing and hang and web sling on the wires. That might be dangerous. Paul sent 500 stars. Hey, Paul, thank you so much for 500 stars. Appreciate it. Thank you everyone for sending stars. Again, it counts twice when we reach 75,000 stars, and we're about 55,000 stars or so. So we just got a few more. So thank you so much for sending the 500 stars. You can break your ankle on these tracks. Yeah, do watch out. Don't wear heels. You're in the capital of fashion. Why would you wear heels, as Felix? In the capital of fashion of all places. The European capital of fashion. along with London is the other European one. Almost has that New York feel. It does, yeah. That's why I noticed here. Nowhere near as loud as New York City. You know, one thing I've noticed traveling to Italian cities is how much quieter they are compared to New York. New York is loud. Here you can hear your footsteps. And I remember being blown away, specifically in Florence, when I would hear my footsteps walking around in the sidewalks and realizing, wait a minute, this does not happen to me in New York. New York is nowhere near as quiet. We found the golden goose. Class is also watching behind. But class says, you're correct, New York City should have tram lines, subways underneath. Yeah, I think tram lines would be a great addition to New York. Garrett Gray says, "Will I do a recap of my trip?" Yeah, let me know if anyone wants a grand recap Q&A of my trip by the end of it.
Una buona serata,
Robert asks, "Am I a fan of Josh Gates?" I admittedly don't watch too much of his stuff, but he is amazing. He is a really talented man. So I know Josh Gates. I know of him. Yeah, really, really talented. And he makes such a great show with Expedition Unknown, and he does a few other great shows. Also very funny. Darlene sent 200 stars. Thank you so much, Darlene. Very, very quiet here. Yeah, lots of businesses closed during August. Milan appears cleaner than NYC, says Susie. Yeah, it does, yeah. Look how clean these sidewalks are. And the streets themselves, yeah. Darlene. Hope all is well. Will you have dinner on camera? Depends. I gotta find a very good place to have a risotto Milanese, and it depends on the restaurant. So maybe. Today, I'm not sure. Probably not. But do let me know. Let me know if you have any good recommendations for food in Milan. Ludo, how many people are in Milan? I think about 1 million. And Keith, thank you so much for the stars. I appreciate you, Keith. And hey, Dr. Tachi, welcome. What's the update on the pandemic here? I don't know. I don't really follow that news. I don't really see the news at all. All I know is still required to wear a mask indoors, and you have to show green pass to get to museums and sit down in restaurants inside or bars. Basically, that's the gist of it for the green pass. I haven't seen it in use anywhere else. I haven't been to like a performance or something, but I assume you would need it for a performance. So Tamo, thank you so much. 1.4 million in the city proper, but 4.3 in the metropolitan area. Thank you so much. More than 4 million in the metropolitan area. How do you download a green pass? If you're American, you have to show your CDC vaccination card. Demi, as I might mention, I don't really follow the news, so no, I don't know too much about Charlie Watts. It's a very nice street, yeah. Ludo says the streets are empty. Indeed, this is a very quiet city. It is August as well, so apparently cities in August empty out. Paola recommends risotto with mushrooms and cotoletta a la milanesa. Thank you so much. Yeah, Paola, let me know if you have any specific places to go. Will I visit the Castello? Problem with castles is generally they have very bad service. So I'll probably visit it, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to make a live video. But there might be short videos nonetheless. Rosemary says, how come you went back to Italy? It was actually not in my top choice. I came back to Italy because it was the easiest place to visit. But beyond that, Italy already has a lot to offer in terms of things to see. I originally decided to go to Rome for 2 weeks after Greece because I had a job to edit videos and I still wanted to continue making these videos, but I didn't have enough time to do research of all the to go to a city. And then I decided to explore places that Venice, Florence I was a little bit curious about, and Positano and Sorrento. Yeah, those places I really wanted to see. Italian cities, and Greece was similar. People don't like staying in the cities during the summertime. It kind of blows my mind because excuse me, I need some water. I'm gonna get some water soon. It blows my mind because in New York, people flock to New York during the summertime. It's very common to go to New York and spend the summer there, especially for young people in their 20s and 30s. That's what they do. But here, not so much. It just kind of blows my mind. Also, there's like summer classes also in New York, so people studies at that time as well. And then if people are from Long Island or New Jersey, they're also going to New York to hang out. But here, not so much. Not so much. Just in general, Italian cities. Rome, Milan, Florence. Ooh, Tamo, yeah, and he says not in Northern Europe though. Most cities are lively. Yeah, that's why I visited Helsinki and did live videos there back in 2017, August, and I really loved it there. Yeah, very vibrant, a lot of people dining out, lots of life in Helsinki. Kay says it's because in the summer everyone comes to Kilkenny. Indeed. Wendy says, what's your first impression of Milan? Great question. Let's go over here. Let me grab some water before I tell you. Is it great to have a map on person? Adam, I rarely use maps. Rarely use maps. Well, I use Google Maps to get to specific places. But me like trying to navigate on maps or having a physical one, I don't use it too much. I used it in Venice because it was a custom made one. So here we have the castle of the Sforza family. The Sforza family were the Medici of Milan. But before I continue, let me grab some water. Ciao, una bottiglia di agua? Oh, bottle of water, please.
Gas o no gas?
No gas. Un euro? Grazie.
Ciao.
Alright. They have Aperol Spritz here. Nino says, maps? We don't need no stinking maps. Indeed, Nino. While I'm walking around, I usually don't use maps unless if I really want to show you something specifically and not wander around too much. Then I'll use a map, but generally I do not take out a map or use a second phone for most of these videos. Susie says this does not look like Edinburgh. We thought you might be making your way to Scotland. Not yet. Can you tell the Prime Minister to fully open up the country? How are things in the UK right now? Let me know, Susie. How are things in Scotland in terms of tourism? Nina, it's very hot. And where you're at? Yeah, here is about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. It's too hot in New York right now. Yeah, oh no. Wow. So if we continue going directly down this way, we will reach the Duomo. Right down there. Let me zoom in. Oh. Hey, Duxula! Ciao tutti! The sun is going down. Oh, yes, it is. David just mowed the lawn in New York. Oh no. Yeah, it's very hot in many other places. Here is much more cooler. Much more cooler. Where's the traffic? I don't think they allow cars here. Only bikes. These roads are blocked to car traffic. And the road, the avenue that leads directly from the castle all the way to a Duomo has been pedestrianized for a few decades. Danny sent 200 stars. Hey, Carol. I ran home from my doctor's appointment to see this live stream. Oh, Carol. Duxula, did you miss the Duomo? Yeah, that was in the beginning of the live video. So go to the beginning to see it. Yeah, check it out. And Danny, thank you so much for the 200 stars. I appreciate you. We're gonna get to our goal soon. Oh no, that's awesome. Rosemary says, I've only been out for a few appointments. Don't go out too much. Haven't seen too many tourists. But we've been out of lockdown for a while. You have to check out which countries you can visit London. You need tickets to go inside. Let's see. Who wants to step into the castle? And they used to have a huge moat. Sally says, oh, we missed you. Oh, Sally. Nice to see you back. So first impressions of of Milan is I really enjoy it. I really love the vibes of the city. I'm a huge fan of big cities. I am a huge fan of cosmopolitan areas. And this feels more in line with like a New York City or London. So that's what I really like about Milan. And I really am intrigued by the architecture because the architecture, there's a big variety of different architectural styles. So you do have a few ruins from ancient times. You have a gigantic castle here from medieval times. And then you also have the beautiful buildings of the 1800s when they really kind of rebuilt huge swaths of the city. And then you have the modern buildings that are post-World War II. All that combination makes it really interesting Italian city, I think. So I really do enjoy it. It's a very, very nice city. For us Italians, Milan is like New York. Indeed. Also, there's a lot of different scooter companies. Pro tip, if you want to save some money, just use a different scooter company every time you get yourself a scooter, if you're here for a trip, that is. And you know why? Because there's like 6 or 7 scooter companies. This is Wind, there's Lime, there's Hellas, and there's like 3 others. So at least like 6 companies. And you can get, when you do your first scooter ride, they give you like either 10 minutes for free, or they give you the first free ride, period. They give you very good like bonuses, so you're really not spending anything for those first few scooter rides. All right, let's walk inside. Apparently the castle closes in less than 10 minutes. Okay, let's step in before it closes. There's a band playing, but no one's watching them. Only like 3 people. Wow, this is the least amount of people I've ever seen for a band. Oh my god. Where is everyone? Really good though. I love this. Oh my god. It's almost like an Italian go-go bordello.
Allora, una cosa però.
Wow. Yeah, I think they're rehearsing, yeah. Otherwise that would be so heartbreaking. Like 3 people watching them. I like their music, says Peggy. Likewise, it's really cool infusing folk with rock. It sounds a bit Irish. Yeah, they're using a lot of folk influences. There are 503 people watching. Indeed they are, so.
Still there. Oh, you're driving back.
It's a very interesting castle. Wow. So here was the center power of Milan for a few centuries, and they had a gigantic moat. Sally, have you ever been to Switzerland? No. Though I really want to go at some point.
Salutami Marino, la
I'm kind of shocked that this castle is open to the public. There's my Donatello. Where? Ludo says it's really that big of a castle. It is, yeah, it's huge. One of the bigger castles I've seen thus far. Wow. I love the new glass that they put up. So there's it's closed right now. Oh, there's the Egyptian Museum. Wow. Wow. That's huge. The six-arc portico, which provides a scenic backdrop to the ducal courtyard, is commonly called the elephant portico due to the discovery of the 15th century fresco depicting an elephant. This partially damaged fresco was discovered in a lunette under the layer of plaster in 1912 and 1913. The imposing arches by tall columns of granite with Corinthian capitals and by rich carved archstones were designed by the Florentine architect Benedetto Ferrini in about 1470 during the reconstruction of the Ducal Court. Wow. Thank you so much. Morgan says I couldn't travel over here, so thank you so much for showing this. My pleasure. I'm so glad I can show you a little piece of Milan. A huge stack of Canadians. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me know, are Canadians allowed to travel yet? Just in general, let me know. Because I haven't heard Canadians at all here in my travels in Italy. I've heard a lot of Americans. I've seen a few South Americans as well, but no Canadians. So, and no Australians either. I usually meet Australians anywhere around the world, but none here. Another Eni. Oh yes, Klaus. Another Eni. We're in there, but it's hard to see. The US-Canadian border is still closed. Oh no. B. Griffin says Australia's another lockdown. Probably will be forever. Yeah, probably for a few more years. 2030. Hope to see my Australian friends again. My 2030. Colleen, you're Canadian. Oh, cool. Yeah, we have a lot of Canadians tuning in. Stephanie asks, have you developed a system to feel safe health-wise while traveling? Ah, that's a great question. Listen to your body. Earlier today, I woke up excited to start exploring the city a lot, and I wanted to go to a museum or two before I started this live video. But I had a late breakfast, and I immediately felt so tired. I felt so exhausted. I rarely feel this exhausted. Just felt like I really wanted to go to sleep. You know, when late at night you feel like you really want to go to sleep. I felt that in the middle of the day. I was about to kind of push through it because, you know, I'm here in Milan. It's a beautiful city. There's no time to take a nap. I decided to listen to my body. I went back to my place and took a nap, and I'm very grateful I did. So do listen to your body. So even if you're in the most beautiful place on earth, take a nap if your body is asking for it, because you don't know. Maybe you can go and explore the city more at nighttime. And another thing is, this one I actually experience a lot. Maybe other people don't experience it, but for me, I get very happy when I'm trying different types of food. So here in Italy, of course, there's a lot of pasta and cheese. And I love having all the pasta and cheese in the world. But if you're not used to having pasta and cheese all the time, it will take a toll on your health. So I had to learn how to kind of incorporate more of my regular diet back into traveling around. So that is I think another thing to do. Yeah. See? Okay. See, grazie. So that's another thing is if you get very eager, especially if you're traveling a few more weeks in any given place, and especially if it's a place where there's not that many salads or things like that, do go to other places to enjoy the food. All right. Let's see. Kay says carbs during the day makes me tired. Yeah, I think so. Makes you feel sluggish. I think that's the case. Yeah. All right, let's go.
Gelato alla castella.
Peggy says, phew, we got out. Oh, this is nice. What is this? Alicine says, I wonder if they had alligators in the moats. You know, that is a very common stereotype in a lot of like children's media, maybe books or cartoons or movies. They usually depict the alligators in the moats of medieval castles. I don't think that was commonplace, but I wonder where that stereotype came from. If anyone knows at this moment, write it down in the comments. Where does the stereotype of having alligators in moats come from? Did any famous castle have alligators in moats?
Lo sai che il papare sono tanti alti e tu sei piccolina, sei nata paperina, che cosa ci vuoi fare? Viva la pappa col pomodoro, viva la pappa col capocolore. Come va?
Where's your backpack? I decided to go sans backpack for this journey.
Come va giù? Bene, bene. Sì, vabbè, adesso se un po' di controlliamo. Guarda, un po' di male nella spia, proprio meno per avere l'impressione di sentirlo, non poco, ok? Hai messo poco? Bene, bene. Oh, se poi ci fosse qualcosa di più, ti faccio vedere che bisogna sentirlo un po' di più. No, non c'è reverbero, no. Prova. Com'è? È buono fuori, perché io da qua ho un'altra... Sì, infatti hanno cambiato qua. Bene, allora diciamo che siamo a posto così, poi vedremo l'effetto che fa. Fuori buono. Ok, bene. Tutto più qua. Ci sei.
Tomo says that I think it's an urban legend. Indeed it is, but all legends have some basis in something that happened or some story or something. So yeah, the alligators and moats is definitely a Oh, there's actually an alligator here. Ooh, I thought that was a real one. It's mostly a myth. Of course it's a myth, or of course it's a legend, but as all things with myth or legend, there's always something that's based on, something that happened. Sometimes it could be a story. It could be someone who wrote a piece of fiction and it just caught on and people kind of mistaken it with being part of reality, part of history. Or sometimes it is based on something that actually happened. Maybe one of the castles actually brought in actual alligator. Or maybe it kind of got distorted over time and they brought something else, as someone mentioned, an eel, and kind of maybe just turned into alligator over time. For example, in New York, there's a myth, another stereotype that you see in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you see in a few other major fictional works of alligators in the sewers of New York. You might think that's a pure fictional, made-up thing, but it's actually based on a real account, or at least a news story that spread in the late 1800s, because there was a fake news story of a zoo, all the animals escaping the menagerie in Central Park. And this story caught like wildfire in America, and people started panicking. And one of those accounts of the zoo animals escaping the menagerie in Central Park was an alligator in the sewer system. And then there was another thing, B. Griffin is right, in 1981, they found an actual alligator in the sewer system, and no one knows how it got there. So there's always some type of basis in truth in a lot of these myths or legends, if you see it anywhere. Hey, a lot of people are saying visit a sports arena here. I am not a fan of sports, really. And usually these arenas don't have much to show aside from the arena itself for a few seconds. So to me, they are not compelling live videos. I get it, a lot of people might want to see a famous arena because you're a huge fan of a certain sport. But from my professional opinion, they're not so compelling in live video. Unless if we're being toured guide by one of those sports players. That might be an interesting spin. But I don't have the time to get a sports star to tour us around a famous arena. Let's show you the arc. Let's go around here. Susie says have a dip in the water. You can't, here in Italy, you can't go into the water. Unlike in New York, where sometimes people take showers in the Washington Square Park fountain. Here, no. It's a finable offense if you do so. Would you visit a sewer if you could? I would visit the ancient Roman sewers in Rome if I could. And I would visit sorry, I got distracted by this pigeon. I would visit the sewers in France because they're also very old sewers that are tied with Les Mis. I'm just fascinated by this pigeon. This pigeon looks so calm. This is like it's chilling here. He's old. Wow, how old is this pigeon? It's probably one of the oldest pigeons I've ever seen. This is not Bob, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of Bobette's great-grandfathers, still alive to this day. Yeah, he's a bit sick, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, one of the Bobette's great-great-grandfathers. Very, very old. I hope he's okay. All right, let's continue showing you around. Let me know if there's anything around here. He looks ill. Yeah, I think so. I think he's in his final days, unfortunately. Hey Gwen, nice to see you here. Looks well fed though, yes. Definitely a very hardy pigeon. This must be very expensive real estate here. Not very crowded here, no. I don't think Milan gets the crowds of Rome or Venice. It's I think a city that a lot of people do visit, but I don't think it gets nowhere near the crowds that you see in those other cities, or Florence as well. Alex says, will I be back in New York? One day. One day. Ludo says, the pigeons usually live up to 20 years old. Train station to my left. There it is. Cool. Have you had dinner yet? No. I'm hungry. It's just the places open up at 7:30 for food. This castle is gigantic. Ooh, Kay says it's 7:40. Oh my god. That means places are indeed open now. Oh wow. Okay, that's good news. I don't have to wait much longer to have some food. I've been hungry for days. No need for traffic lights, says Nina. No. Not much need for traffic lights, no. All right. You're coming up to a park. There should be restaurants near the park, says Adam. Lisbon trams are similar, says Sharon. Someday we can send you a drone with food, or you can send us food with the drone, says David. Yeah, indeed. You will almost think you're in New York City. Yeah, Peggy. I'm getting a lot of New York vibes here. A lot of also vibes similar to Paris as well. Have you window shopped at the high fashion stores? Not yet. I went to the Armani Museum yesterday. Oh wow. I went to the Armani Museum. Oh, that is so interesting. You can get very close up to the clothes. And I wish I could film there, but was not really allowed to film. But they have the clothes. You can step right next to it. So close. And there's no like glass, there's no like rope. You can literally take super close up look to the clothes. You can touch it technically, but of course it's not allowed. And they even have jewelry that wore some of the most famous models of the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. And they have it there. You don't have glass covering it. It's there exposed. It's really trippy museum. And you kind of feel it's built in a former factory building, super enclosed. So you feel like almost transported to another world. It's the most interesting museum I've been to so far for fashion. Ava says you're holding out on us. Yeah, unfortunately I couldn't really film in there. But let me see if I can pull up a photo so I can show it to you. And I think oh, here's the metro stop. That's good. So this was the museum built in the old cereal factory. And this is how close up you can get to the clothes. That's a jacket I really want to buy. Both of them. Let me know where I can buy that Armani jacket from 1980. That's another jacket I really wanted to buy. There's a dress. Very beautiful dresses. Hard to see. Very, very bad lighting though. Beautiful museum, but the lighting not good for photos. And here are all the scooters. Aldo says no aperitivo. No. Ah. They have bubble tea. Here you'll find bubble tea in many places. Bubble tea here is popular. Gail says it's so bright outside. Yeah, usually Milan photos are very dark and cloudy. But I think we're lucky. There's actual light up here. And here's Cardona Station. This is a train station. And also there's a direct route to the airport from here as well, via train. And here are the trams. Looks a little bit like Boston. Ava, you're so right. I like a lot of people are getting these vibes from the U.S. Me too. I came here. I got vibes from the U.S. There's parts that here remind me of Queens, and I can't logically tell you that they look like Queens in any regard, but they feel like Queens. And it's very interesting. And you know, there's some parts that feel like Boston as well. So very, very fascinating city that, you know, most of Italy looks like Italy. Out of storybook, out of the mythological tales, out of the history books, that's Italy. But this place feels different. It feels more kind of a mixture of everything else. Can we see the needle again? The needle, this one? Show it to you one more time. All right, if anyone has any last remaining questions, feel free to ask. I'm Ariel, and this is Urbanist. Meta says yes, because this is an industrial city. Yes. That's definitely a good way of putting it. Susie says, I would look great in a Scottish kilt. I can't wait to wear one and buy one. Oh yes, good Scottish kilt. Trolley tracks here, yep. Here you can take the trolley, you can take the number 1 trolley. Okay everyone, I am signing off. Tomorrow I'll be live during the day. If anyone is up very early in US time, I'll be live very early during the day. And then I'll be live at 5 p.m. A very special place for me. As I mentioned, well, I'll tell you about it tomorrow, but we're bringing to an end another part of this travel. We've seen places like Santorini and Sorrento and Positano and Venice and Piazza Navona. There's one more place that is on that list. Everyone, see you tomorrow live in Italy, and then I'll be live until Sunday, 5 p.m. every day. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye. Ooh, 4,000 stars were sent. Thank you so much, everyone, for sending stars and super chats. Ciao, amici.